right, tomorrow's leaders. How are you? Welcome back. I should say welcome back because I've been gone for a little bit. I know these episodes, I try to get these things out every few days, so there's not a big gap, but sometimes there's a gap in my production of them. So I missed you. I missed you a lot, but I'm back. And some of you wonder, when do I do, what's your schedule? When do you do these things? Honestly, I don't have a schedule. I just do them whenever they come to mind, whenever I have blocks of time. I will tell you right now, it is 11:05 at night on a Thursday night, and I actually have a flight tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So I am leaving here at 3:15 in 4 hours and 10 minutes. Is that crazy? What the? But you know what? This is what I do, and I love it. So, you know what I was thinking about the other day? No, you don't know what I was thinking about, but I'm going to tell you what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the very, very top of the pyramids in Egypt. And when I say the top, I'm thinking like, okay, what is the very highest brick? Literally that very top brick part of the pyramid look like? The top foot, whatever. Very, very peak pinnacle part of the pyramid. There's not too many people that have actually seen that. I'm going to just venture a guess and say, I don't know. I've never been there. I've never been to Egypt. I would love to go. I'd love to see the pyramids. I don't know if they run some kind of excursion where they take you to the top. You scale the outside of it and you climb the top. But I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be cool to just touch the top of the pyramid? Just sit up on the top of the pyramid. I don't know. There's a movie, I think, Transporter or something like that. I remember where the actor could transport himself anywhere and he was sitting on top of the pyramid. I'm like, wow, that's really, really a cool thought. So anyway, I don't know. But then my mind was like, well, why was I even thinking about that? Like, how did I even get to that? How did I even get to the point of thinking about the top of the pyramid? And I really don't know. I don't know. So have you ever been in that situation where you're just wondering, you have this thought and you're deep in thought about something, you're like, how did I get here? And sometimes it's in such a fast period of time. Like, okay, 3 minutes ago, I was thinking about, my plans for Saturday. And then, now I'm thinking about the top brick on the pyramid. I don't get it. Like, how did I get from one to another to another? And if sometimes you can actually go back and say, oh yeah, I was talking about Saturday, and then that made me think about the movie that I was going to see, and that made me think about this, and this made me think about that, and that made me think about this, and you can actually connect the dots and trace it back. Sometimes you can't. Like this situation, I just could not figure out, how did I get to thinking about the top of the pyramid? Anyway, it's kind of a cool thought, and I fixated on it for a little bit, and then I realized, well, I may never see that, but maybe I add that to my life's goals and say, hey, I want to see the top of the pyramid. Anyways, not the point. My point is that our brains run just totally wild. Honestly, our thoughts go in a zillion different directions. And I love what I do, because what I do, I get to talk to and work with incredibly successful, talented people on truly a daily basis. I've built great relationships with tons and tons of leaders, truly all over the place, in all different industries, in all different companies, in all different countries. So one of the great things about doing this podcast, I get to talk to leaders in all different walks of life and truly all around the world, and some unbelievably talented people. So it's kind of cool. I get to pick people's brains and just learn and share and all this kind of stuff. But it's interesting, what I realized is even the most successful people that are out there, the truly, ultra successful, talented, influential, impactful people, super achievers, they have a lot of the same thoughts float into their head that everybody else does. Honestly, they truly have. When you think about, yourself, individually, think about the thoughts that run through your mind in a given day or moment. And, unfortunately, most of the average person's thoughts tend to be negative. They truly do. There's just, we kind of fill ourselves with negative self-talk. And that's That's natural. We're going into a situation. We envision the worst case or a bad case scenario. What if this happens or what if that happens? We just tend, on average, the average person tends to beat themselves up a lot. They tend to be pessimistic. They tend to envision, and sometimes totally unknowingly, a really bad future or outcome of a situation, and they fill their mind with this negative visualization. And the thing that I've realized, the difference between people that are really successful, that move upwards and achieve so much and are leading these massive organizations that are doing just unbelievable things in a short period of time, the difference is not that they don't have these thoughts that are coming in their mind. It's really not. It's the fact that they just manage to get them out of their mind faster. They tend to be able to, they don't accept those thoughts coming in or staying in their mind very often. I'll give you an example. I did a keynote a couple weeks ago, and it was an important keynote. All keynotes are important. This one, I had people in my circle that were in the audience. I wanted to make sure I did a dynamite job. And the morning of, I just found myself, my mind kind of wandering to the wrong place. And I usually tend to be really good at just blocking that out and not even letting it enter my mind. The scenarios of, geez, what if I got up there and I just flopped? What if nobody was laughing when I wanted them to laugh, or they just were bored, or they're playing on their phones, or what if I just lost my train of thought, or just what if I feel like I just delivered a C-, performance, and I just, started to think through this longer than I normally would. And I let it in my mind. I let it stay in my mind longer than it should. Now, fortunately, I became very aware of it and suddenly became aware of it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is not how I do this. I mean, I've got a whole, process of just thinking, of consciously thinking about the desired outcome and fixating on that positive desired outcome. And here I am letting all these negative thoughts come into play. And I'm realizing, everybody does this. Everybody goes through this. But the difference is, how good are you at just pushing those negative thoughts out? And there's a technique that I've used and learned, and I got this from Tony Robbins years and years ago. And all it is just learning and knowing how to interrupt that thought pattern. Truly. I mean, and when I say interrupt, it would be like somebody is literally talking to you, spewing negativity, and you just slap them in the head, literally, and you walk away. You just shut down the conversation. You do not even listen to another word. You don't let them finish their sentence. You don't respond. You just shut them down right then. And the beautiful thing about this, it works so well. You don't have to worry about being polite. You can be as rude as you want. You just shut that negative self-talk down. And all it is you have to interrupt that thought pattern. You have to break it. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. All you can do is just change your body posture. If you're sitting down and you've got these, jump to your feet, literally. Run, walk outside, whatever you got to do. Think about something. Open up the computer and Google something. Put a movie on, whatever you got to do. Listen to music. Say something. Start reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Start singing a song. Start making up a rap, whatever you got to do, but just interrupt that thought process. You don't even have to focus on changing it from negative to positive. Just stop the negative and then allow the positive thoughts to come back. And if they don't, in another negative thought, then interrupt it as well. I used to wear a rubber band around my wrist, and literally every time I had a negative thought creep into my mind, and I was aware of it, I would take that rubber band and I would pull it out real far and I would snap it back onto the inside of my wrist. And it would hurt, it would sting. And it started to create like this pattern that when I started to think about negative things, I would associate with real physical pain. And it actually was unbelievably effective. Right? That was my way of just interrupting the thought pattern. I couldn't continue that negative thought when I had this this pain now in my wrist, my mind was broken from that thought and now directed to the pain that I had in my wrist. And at the same time, it was building this negative connection of consequence when my mind was going that way. It worked really, really well. So what I encourage you to just think about is, number one, accept the fact that everybody has negative thoughts. When you look at somebody that's ultra, ultra, ultra successful, it doesn't mean that they don't have negative thoughts coming in. It just means they're better at pushing them out. That's it. That's truly all it is. And trust me on this, because I've asked these questions directly to these unbelievably successful people and great leaders, and they still have those thoughts. And it doesn't matter if they've been doing it for a year or 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. It still happens. World leaders, it still happens. It's unbelievable, but they just get better at pushing that out. You don't think that a world leader, a leader of a country, when they're getting up in front of their audience, or they're going to the UN, or they're going to somewhere and they've got some kind of important engagement, they're meeting another world leader, you don't think that they have some kind of negative thoughts that creep in? They may not tell you that, they may not show it, but they do. They're just better at how they handle it or manage it. That's it. So my message to you today is just figure something out. I don't care if it's snapping your finger, if it's yelling, if it's, using the rubber band technique, whatever it is, just break the thought pattern, interrupt the thought pattern. Just slap that person in the head. That's that inner voice that starts to go down a negative direction. Because what I will tell you is what you say to yourself and repeatedly say to yourself will come true. I promise you that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I think negative things consistently, I will have negative things happen. If I think about failure consistently, I will fail consistently more times than I will not. If I think about the outcome that I don't want, I am more likely over time to achieve that outcome that I don't want, versus if my brain is fixated on the positive outcome. But in order to do that, you have to break the negative pattern. So I'm here to help you on this. Believe me, this is one of these things. It's been a lifelong journey to try to figure this out. And again, it's my own experience as well as talking to zillions of other people. This works. So reach out to me. I'm here to help you. That's my food for thought for you today on this random Thursday night. I hope you're enjoying your week. I hope you're enjoying your weekend whenever you're listening to this. As always, greatly appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, go down below, give a 5-star review, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.